I'm only making this in a car because one, my ring light died, two, I can't drive, and three, this is the only place I like that is really good and it's quiet enough. But in today's video, I want to talk about loan apps and how I actually use one for some time and my experience and everything you need to know, and whether or not you should use a loan app. So for those who don't know, loan apps are basically apps that they allow you to collect loans, and it must be paid with interest over a certain period of time. If that loan is not paid by that time, then the interest accumulates and you could be having different fees attached to it if you pay late and all that stuff. So yeah. So I decided to just use a loan app to take one for the team because I need to tell y'all about using a loan app because I don't think anyone has made a video about it before. I may be wrong, but I don't know. So the loan app that I use is called Fair Money. So here's the process of how I use the Fair Money app to basically create like an account and get a loan. And this isn't sponsored at all, by the way. So yeah. So when you register for Fair Money, they ask you for different details like your email, your phone number, your BVN. They ask for that stuff, and they'll do all these checks and everything, like to check your your credit history with Fair Money, blah blah, all that stuff. And basically what they'll do is that they'll ask you for different things like your address, your date of birth. They'll ask you for the phone number of a next of kin, all those details. And they even ask you to access your contacts because they want to do some type of assessment or whatever. I let them do all that stuff. Then after that, for them to actually give you the loan in the end, what they need is your card details as well. So your card needs to have like a minimum of 200 naira in it before like the loan can be given to you. So that's what I did. I didn't use my main bank, but I used another bank and I put that card there and everything. And then after all that was done, basically like they have tiers to how much you can borrow at a time. So since it was my first time, I was able to borrow only 10,000 naira. After borrowing the 10,000 naira, I had to pay 14,000 naira because that was the interest that was attached to the 10,000 naira, and I had like a month to pay everything back. So I did use the money and do stuff, but then I paid it back and all that. And trust me, being in debt is crazy. Like, it's crazy scary because that's what kind of happened in my situation. That's why I'm making this video in the first place. But in the end of the day, I was able to pay off everything. So if you want to pay off your debt in Fair Money, because it's like a microfinance bank like the likes of your OPay and Kuda, it works the same way. All you just have to do is simple. You just basically get your Fair Money account number and transfer money inside of the Fair Money account. Then from there, you have the option to either pay off in full. That's like if you deposit the full amount, or you can pay like partially. Like for example, let's say now that, like as I said, like I was in debt with 14,000 naira, and what happened was that I was putting like 2,000 at the time. I put 2,000, and then I was able to use that 2,000 to pay off the debt and all that, like at the time, if you get what I'm saying. And also failure to repay your debt would mean that you would be charged late fees for not paying on time. Then once you pay off this debt, what happens next is that you're able to borrow more money again, and this time I was able to borrow 60,000 naira if I wanted to, like up to that amount. And that's how it works. The more you basically keep on borrowing and repaying back, then the more you're able to basically borrow at a time, like, and all that, like as a loan. That's how these work, but you still must pay interest that will be attached to whatever you're borrowing from them. So should you use any of these apps? Now for me, I would say that you shouldn't use this app if, number one, you do not have the intention to pay back. Like if you don't have that capacity to pay back anything you owe, then I'm telling you, do not use any of these loan apps at all. And number two, people that shouldn't use these apps are people that they care about their details, like their card details and maybe contacts, everything, because that's what they asked me for. So if you're someone who doesn't want to, share these details with people because you feel like maybe they could, invade your privacy or whatever, then I don't think this is for you. Now, one thing that I've heard with loan apps is the fact that, like, loan apps now, like, if you fail to pay, like, they'll send everybody in your contact list that, oh, you're a criminal or you're this or whatever. They'll defame you and then they'll just embarrass you and everything simply because you didn't pay back. Now, me, I'm not sure if Fair Money does the same thing because I was able to pay back before the time ran out. So if you ever had that situation where you didn't pay up on time and something like that happened to you with the Fair Money, just comment below. And besides, I only use Fair Money simply because that app was the only one that looked the least sketchy, because I was going through the Play Store and the App Store and I was seeing that most of the loan apps that were there were looking so sketchy. The reviews were all bad and everything. And Fair Money was the only one that had the best reviews, and that app looked the least sketchy out of all of them. So yeah, that's my life using loan apps.